Here we are. Here we are. Yeah, we've reached this time of year that it is the shortest day, the longest night of the year. And now we begin to turn back the other way. And as I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, I really resisted, growing up when the sun set so early. My mom hated it. I hated it. I was like, oh, no. But I mentioned that I want to have a different experience of this year. And it turns out that for many people, this time of year, particularly when the lights come down and the decorations get put away, this time of year can be really heavy for people, sometimes really depressing. And there is, just a lot of resistance to it. And so, I was thinking about that and the cycles of nature and how everything, every season, every cycle is an expression of divine order. And as such, it's an invitation to dance with it. So we're going to dance with it. We're dancing with it. In ancient times, pagans, not heathen pagans, but pagans in the term of earth-based spirituality, folks, they saw this time as sacred and celebrated it with winter solstice celebrations, Yule celebrations, a big, big log and a community fire. And we have kind of carried on that tradition in our own way here at Unity Center of Peace. How many came to the winter solstice celebration last night? Okay. It was a good Mark and Katja, I think, facilitated that. It's a beautiful way to honor and celebrate this time, which can be a time, in ancient times and all the wisdom of the world, a time for reflection, for connection, for intention. So we can do that too, right? We can open to that same idea. And we can have that experience. This quiet and stillness of the longer evenings can kind of call us to stop all the doing and just rest in being. Just rest in being. So that we can open to the sacredness of this moment, the sacredness of what's available here, and just rest in that idea of introspection and reflection and maybe releasing what we don't want to carry with us into the new year. Maybe having an intention for what we do want to experience in the next cycle of things, which is what we do. I mean, this doesn't have to be a relic of the past. We can embrace that, and we are embracing it with our trio of services that we offer here. Our Unity 12 Powers service allows us to connect and reflect on that divine Christ within us. The Burning Bowl service that we have at the end of the year allows us to release together in community, releasing what's holding us back, what's keeping us small, what we don't want to carry with us into the new year. And then the White Stone service in January, we are led to an idea for a quality or an intention or something we want to grow into, that we want to focus on growing into for the coming year. So we honor and have built upon the wisdom, of the ancestors and the cycles of the season. And so in this kind of quiet of this time, we can create some space where we can hear that inner wisdom more clearly, where we can connect more easily with that divine presence. Charles Fillmore, who was the Unity co-founder, called this naturally going into the silence. And that this is how we attune with that divine mind. And in this place, he says, ideas flow from the fountainhead of being. This is a place where ideas flow from the fountainhead of being. So we can consider this time as a kind of a cosmic invitation to deepen our practice. And even more, it can be an opportunity to be a sort of incubator, an incubator for the creation of something new. So in Genesis, it says, in the beginning, darkness was upon the face of the deep. So creation began out of darkness, out of this fertile void. So what we often think of as empty space, or astrophysicists might call dark matter, is really full of divine presence. It's that unformed substance before it comes into manifestation. That fertile void, that invisible realm of ideas, pure potentiality, that everything manifests from. That everything manifests from this pure potentiality and this realm, this invisible realm. So in this context, darkness is not the absence of light. It is its birthplace. It is its birthplace. Now that's a different way of looking at it, And so in this understanding with the longer nights, it can be a kind of like a womb-like environment for us to form a new creation. And so a couple of weeks ago, the last time I spoke, I shared with you the Aramaic version of the Lord's Prayer. Most of you were here, Aramaic being the language Jesus spoke and taught in, but it was never written down that way, so there has been a lot of scholars who have tried to interpret the real meaning. And a couple of lines in that really speak to this. And one of them is, from this divine union, let us birth new images for a new world of peace. And then the next one, as we find your love in ours, let heaven and nature form a new creation. Excuse me, let me do that again. As we find your love in ours, let heaven and nature form a new creation. So we're encouraged to enter this union and empowered by divine intelligence to embrace images and give birth to the kind of world we want to live in. And I can't think of a better time than now. A more urgent time. So I've been watching this PBS series called Wisdom Keepers. Has anybody heard of this? You just check it out. It's really good. Ray Suarez is the host, and he sits down with thought leaders, religious leaders, social psychologists, and has a conversation about where we are in this time, who we are as a species, where we are currently, and maybe where we're headed. And a lot of them agree that we're in this kind of cycle of death and rebirth, of a kind of death and rebirth. And one person in particular said, historically, it comes in like 60-year cycles. So think of where we were in the 1960s. Was that not a death of the status quo, of the way that we were living, and a much-needed rebirth of freedom, equality, of, awareness, consciousness? And interestingly, that's kind of when meditation and Eastern thought was introduced into the United States. So 60 years, we're at that point of 60 years. What are we seeing around us? Do I even need to say it? Things are kind of unraveling, right? There is this common decency is just gone out the window. And, no more checks and balances, and things are just so out of whack, and no trust in institutions, and things are unraveling. So, if this is something that's happening, then it's a cycle of rebirth, because historically this has been true. So now we're on the verge of a rebirth of something new. And what is that? What is that? What is yet to be? That's up to us. That's up to us. What we envision and what we have the courage to help create. It's up to us. And here's how this works on one level. Okay, so if the daytime, the daylight, is the manifestation realm, so things that you can see and touch and taste and measure, then the night is the invisible realm, the unmanifest substance, that pure potentiality. And this is the rich, juicy stuff in this. So think about a seed that's planted in the soil. It germinates in the dark. It sends its roots down into that dark, fertile soil. And it gathers strength before it breaks into manifest form, before it breaks into visual form. So the same is true in our consciousness. Right? The seeds that are entering into, if we allow it, this sacred, fertile ground that we are cultivating, that we're opening to, this pure potentiality, this field where we're connected with divine wisdom. If we allow those seeds to enter into that fertile soil, think what can grow. Think what we can grow. So what seeds, maybe, are we talking about? Right? Possibilities, seeds of healing for ourselves, for our loved ones, for our beloved planet, for humanity, seeds of a world rooted in compassion and peace and abundance for all. There's enough abundance on the planet right now for everybody to be abundant, for everybody to experience abundance. There's enough wealth right now. Not excess. We're not talking about excess. We're talking about abundance for all. It's here. The seeds of creative solutions to the issues that we're facing right now. And inspired ideas about how to move forward. And it also brings to mind what Reverend Tammy was sharing last week. What is mine to do? What is mine to do? So entering this sacred field of potentiality, we are connected with that divine wisdom which can guide us and lead us into inspired action. What is mine to do? So also in this sacred space, this is where our imagination is activated. The power of our imagination, one of our 12 powers, this is where it's activated. This is the power that allows us to see beyond the appearance, beyond the visible, into what's possible. Right? And that's so necessary to be able to see beyond the temporary world of right now into what's possible. That's the power we want to have activated. So if I could have the first slide, this is an affirmation that can anchor this in. So let's say this together. I welcome the sacred darkness as a womb of creation. Once again, I welcome the sacred darkness as a womb of creation. All right, so what are some of the things that we can do to take advantage of this time, to really have the full value of that? Well, I'm going to share some ideas, and then I would like for you to share some ideas of how you do it, what your practice is during this time, how to deepen it. So, first of all, an evening candle meditation, which is our next slide. Just really simple, lighting a candle, in the evening and just being with it, being in that presence. In fact, we have a lot of candlelight right now. We can do this kind of right now. Pick your candle and just kind of softly gaze, or maybe the whole thing, and breathe with it. And just allow that sacred spaciousness to begin to grow, that field possibility. And think about those seeds of the world that you want to live in, that you want to be in. Allow those seeds to just drop into that fertile soil. Keep breathing. And we can say this affirmation to anchor that in. Together, divine wisdom within me guides the vision unfolding in my heart. Yeah. Okay. Also, I want to let you know that the meditation that I record and that comes out on Wednesday, the Soul Dance podcast, is a guided meditation all about this. So that's the focus if you want to take this deeper. Okay. The second idea is to spend a quiet moment or several, either before bed, in the morning before dawn, and before any of you go, oh, that's too early. The sun doesn't come up till 7:30, so it's really not that early right now. I know for me, that's the time where I'm just the most focused and creative, and that's when I work on my talks, at that time before the sun is completely up. And it's a lot of, maybe it's the 10 cups of coffee that I'm drinking at that time might have something to do. But if it's, for some people, it's in the evening before bed, take a journal out. Again, get into that space, maybe light a candle, maybe you can combine these two things, and allow that wisdom to begin to awaken in you. And again, these questions that Reverend Tammy posed last week encouraged us to ask, what is mine to see? What is mine to become? What world would you have me envision and help build? What is mine to do? And then just allow that wisdom to flow through you, through your hand, through the pen, and onto the paper. Okay. So the third idea is rest as a spiritual practice. we're honoring the rhythm, the natural rhythm of this season by resting more. So I recently heard somebody said about rest, that rest is not an indulgence, it's a spiritual necessity. I'll go with that. Spiritual necessity. Yeah, we're honoring it. And while we're resting, just set your intention to allow yourself to be bathed in some healing energy, some positive energy. And what I find helps with this is to have some meditation music going. And, you know, on YouTube, you can find all kinds of meditation music at different frequencies. You know, you heard this? 432 hertz, 778 hertz. I saw the other day 1,111 hertz. I don't know. I don't know if that's a real thing, but the music is so relaxing, and it feels good to just rest and just kind of allow that to move through you. I feel like it's healing my cells. So that's one way to do it. The next idea is yin yoga or qigong. And this brings the body into the spiritual, mental idea of the sacred time. And yin yoga is like the type that's quiet and you hold poses for a long time. Has anybody been to that Wednesday class, Scott Campbell? Oh yeah, it's really good. He does, it's called deep stretch yoga, but it's really yin yoga. You hold the poses for a long time. The lights are really low. He's got these like twinkly lights that are around the room. And it just is conducive to a really sacred, beautiful experience. I've recently been introduced to Qigong by this wonderful woman here, Jessica, and I found that really deeply restful and healing. It's that same yin energy. Maybe she'll share some more in the future. Yeah. So again, it's time to be gentle. This is the time to be gentle with our body and not push. Come spring, we can push a little, but right now, gentle. Okay, all right, and the last idea is consciously bless the night. So as the sun sets, and I'm really trying to make this a practice now. As the sun sets, just be present with it and take a moment and be with it. And, I used to say, oh God, that was such a short day. Rather than that, just welcome it as this deeply sacred time, It's creative energy. And you can actively shift your thoughts. Okay? So rather than thinking the night is the absence of light, you can say it's the incubator of light. It's the incubator of light. Rather than thinking of the darkness as empty, it's full of divine presence. Rather than thinking that you're missing out on the day, the night is this sacred womb to imagine, envision these ideas and give birth to them. This is a real thing, right? Everything starts in consciousness. Everything originates in consciousness. And we spend some time in that time, that sacredness, and we're creating something here. And then we're led into an inspired action. All right, so I want to open it up for anybody else to share what practice they may do during this time that really help. Gaines over here has got one. Thank you, Mark.
Practice doing nothing.
Okay, we don't need a mic for that, I guess. Practice doing nothing, he says. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Stop all the activity. Laura.
5 random words.
Yeah, get that mic.
I made a friend at a conference, and Hugh was a big deal in Canada. And he was a brilliant guy. And after I met him, I guess it was in maybe February or something, every year for New Year's, he would use a random word generator and send me 5 random words. Today, there are random word generators on. So we're going away for New Year's, and the couple we're going away with, I asked them, do you want 5 random words? They do. So I'll go into my random word generator, and I'll hold whoever it is I'm generating them for in my consciousness, and then the words generate, and I write them on a piece of paper. And the idea is that you take the words and you write a paragraph about each one. You don't talk. You don't try to integrate them. You don't try to consciously do it. You can take them in any order, and then you write your paragraph, and at the end, and then you synthesize what you've understood. It's incredible.
How interesting.
If anybody would like me to give them 5 random words, email me and I will.
Thank you, Laura. That's really interesting. Teresa back here.
Well, to be present with solstice, the pagan or the earth-based traditions, like to put themselves, in the context of what's going on in nature. So my practice almost always is to actually face the directions individually. And, there's easy ways to find out what the nature-based traditions consider the energy of the gift of that direction. So I face the direction. I usually have a fire going or light a candle. And then I welcome that energy to inform my life. Like, so if it's the East, the East is the place we all see the rising sun. And it's also called the place maybe of the eagle, like the bringer of new things. So I like to do that, and what that does as I go around in the 4 directions is it puts my life in this moment in context of nature. And so I feel like it's a really beautiful tradition, because then, by not asking anything demonstrative, but welcoming that energy into your life, it kind of informs not just your day, but as we set forth in this next cycle. So.
Yeah, that's a beautiful practice. Thank you. Okay, we got time for a couple more. Kevin, you have your hand back in the back there. That tall gentleman in the back.
Oh yeah, chop wood, carry water is an idea that I like. Work it out.
Chop wood, carry water. Work physical?
Chop wood, carry water.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
We got that. I love that. Okay, Dan.
Just a couple of words on behalf of our emotional being. Speaking from the perspective of the Chinese 5-element system, the winter is definitely a time about grief. And many of us have seen loved ones pass during this time. It seems like a natural time when people leave us. So there are times of parting and times of meeting. And what I find is there's a lovely thing about grief. It's many people struggle to not feel it, but it can really bring an enhanced appreciation of what it is that's lost, and gives you the impetus to hibernate, as you're saying, in terms of bringing your energies ready for the springtime and the next season. So, so feel your grief and do it with your friends, your family, or however you like.
Let it pass through. Okay. All right. So thank you all. There's always such wisdom in this room. What a great group of people, honestly. And David Glass has something that he would like to read to close us out. Is it okay he uses this mic here? Okay.
This is actually so short, I don't need to read it, and it'll fly by.
Just
so.
make sure we got to get you right in there.
Is this
Yeah, there we go.
communicating better? It's so short that it's like going through an intersection. You're through it in a minute. Hear the cycles of the day and the month and the year all say, that which darkens brightens soon, so say earth and sun and moon. As the seasons cycle round, what was lost again is found. All these witnesses foretell all things shall again be well.
Beautiful. Well, that's perfect. All right. Namaste. Okay.
Hi, it's Reverend Victoria here. I'm at Unity Center of Peace with our house band, Bright Matter.
Hello.
Yeah, and if this video has inspired you or empowered you or opened your heart, opened your consciousness, or even just given you hope, we ask that you support what we're doing here by making a donation today, going to unitychapelhill.org or clicking the link below. And we thank you.
Thank
Thank you.